Alright, so this is the install guide and setup for the solid surface Miterfold countertop. Now please, if you're self-setting this up, watch the entire video. Everything is extremely important so that you don't use the wrong bit, use the wrong cutout, have issues. Once it's set up, it's very easy, but if you didn't have me set it up for you, I'll show you how to do it yourself right here. So let's start by creating a material template. So we'll go up to libraries and materials, and we just need to make some new materials for ourselves. Now, you could go into countertops and pull in a solid surface there, but I'm just going to make a generic solid surface. Probably won't be using too many different types of solid surface for your countertops in the same job. I would just stick to one for now. It looks like I already have one. Alright, so solid surface dash, whatever. And then we'll put in the 30 by 144, 150 or whatever you're getting there. Now if you only have a 10-foot bed, just put in 120 right there. If you put in 120, then you'll cut your sheets down and it won't try to nest it on a 144. And then you do want to caliper the thickness of your material. We're just going to go with a nominal 1/2 inch. And then over here on the right, make sure that you have nesting selected here, okay? And we'll add another material and we'll say no cut solid surface. This is just a fake material to show the miter folds, right? So you can put in whatever value you want here. Just make sure that it matches the thickness of the solid surface, more or less. But we won't click on nest there. And then the last thing we want is the solid surface buildup. This is what's going underneath the solid surface. Now, if your shop is just cutting it lineal on the chop saw and applying it, so be it. Then you don't really need to send this to the CNC. We won't click on nest, but we do want to actually put in the thickness. So if you're lucky enough to have the 31/32 plywood out there, awesome. We'll go 48.5, 96.5. Okay. And this one, I'm going to actually set this one for nest because I think it's cool to cut out your own buildup. And then, especially if it's a full buildup or for a sink or something. So we have our solid surface, no cut solid surface, and solid surface buildup. Now we just need to make a template. So we're going to make one material template to just override this product here. We'll go up to material templates, go to cabinet, we'll say new, and we'll say solid surface, and we could say PAC Miterfold or whatever, something to just show us what we're doing here. Oh wow, I almost forgot to show you how to import this. If you're doing this yourself, you probably already know how to import it yourself too, but let me finish up material template and then we'll show you how to import. So we have our solid surface. It looks like I already made one in here. So let's say we made this Miterfold solid surface countertop. I basically just went through and made everything no cut list solid surface, and then the stretcher is your buildup, and then the plastic is your solid surface. If you wanted to do this, you can hold shift and select all of these at once. Let's just make all of them our new material that we made, no cut list, solid surface. And then we'll roll down to stretcher. That is our buildup. And we'll go to solid surface buildup. And then in the plastic, we'll go to solid surface. That's the only one that you're actually going to cut out of solid surface. All right, and who knows why I use plastic? This was pre-14 when I made this. You need version 14, by the way, if you're going to import this into your system. But now we have a material template, and the way you're going to import this, just set this up properly. It's the same as everything, right? We're going to take this product, right click and copy. This is the download, by the way, Solid Surface CP version 1.3. You could put a left, a none, a right, a both. The reason I don't save a bunch of configurations and send them to you is because there's a ton of setup on this. But once you get the first one set up, it's very easy to just make the rest of what you need. So we'll take this, put it in our product library. So I'm on Dropbox, so I'll find my Dropbox folder, and then we'll go to product libraries. And then I'll go to, let's just go to Frameless V12, and we'll click on products. And then I'll find a blank space over here, right click and paste. Now that product is in the list. I go up to the top and go date modified, you can see it in there. And then when I want to import it into my system, I'll go up into Mozaik, I'll say libraries and products. This is the old one. I'll go to Frameless V12. We'll go down to, and it's a disaster in here. We'll go to sub-assemblies. We'll right click on the folder name and say add product. And we'll go down to import. Just kind of how it turns out when you're developing products. It becomes a rat's nest. Hopefully yours is cleaner. So then we will import this one. I'll just left click once, go to open, and then say OK. Now we have the countertop, but you'll notice there are no, there's no sink cutouts right now. The buildup looks kind of funny. Everything looks kind of funny. So what we're going to do is I'll delete this one, and I'll start with that product that we just brought in on Frameless V12. Now we're going to do all the toolpaths that we need to do to set all this up. Now, I'm going to say this a few times. Don't use your diamond 90-degree bit to cut solid surface. You will regret it. It will not last very long. So please don't do that. You have to be using insert tooling. Insert tooling, or grab yourself an aggregate head and start doing it with the aggregate. But this is for 3-axis. So anyways, here's our solid surface countertop. I'll bring it out. Now you can see an outline here, but there's actually no cutout because we don't have a toolpath associated with this yet. So I'll walk you through all the tools that we need to do this, starting feed rates. This is all assuming that you have a 10 horsepower spindle. If you have a 5 horsepower spindle, you might not want to even do this, to be honest. But you're going to have to baby your feed rates, and I just wouldn't do it. This is for 10 horsepower and up. So we have this product in the room. First thing I'm going to do, go to products, 3D viewer, and we're going to override this material template basically forever. I'll go into info, we'll go to materials, and then cabinet material template. I'll just change that to the solid surface version that we have. Go with this one. Okay, so now we can see that we have basically a 1-inch buildup, and then these are fake parts. This is 1/2 inch, and in the background we have this whole storm of parts over here. This is the one that it's actually cutting out. All kinds of things. The first thing we might do is go into parameters and make sure that this MF skin isn't set on exactly 0. This miter fold skin is very important. If you're doing this, this probably isn't your first time doing miter folds. For solid surface, we're going to put our onion skin at about 0.01 to 0.02. So you can put it at 0.015 to try out a test piece and then go from there. Now if we go back into our part, man, this is going to be a long setup. Alright, so let's go back into the part, into the 3D. Now it looks a little more normal. So we can expand this up and see that we even have the faucet holes cut out for us. We're going to have a sink. These are all optional. We can do 2 sinks if we want. You could do 2 sinks with faucets, different separation. You can do 2 trash cans if you want, as trash can openings. I'll show you how to do that. We can do circles, squares, radiuses on the rectangles. The only thing we can't do is an ellipse, an elliptical sink. Working on it. It's just not really possible in Mozaik at the moment to do that with formulas. Make it parametric. You're better off kind of just doing it in VCarve for now until I figure something else out. All right, so we have the material template in, we have the product in, and now before we go through all the different parameters, which would be like the next video, I'm just going to focus on setup. So we're going to go to our optimizer. We'll go into libraries, CNC tooling. We need to create these 2 tools. I can actually send them in the download, but you're going to want, you already have a 3/8 compression bit. You have a 1/2 inch, then we'll have to modify it a little bit. But I'm always going to suggest Frost Tools if he has one that works on this, because it's great. And we have the 1/2 inch low helix up shear. That's typically what we're going to use to cut out the solid surface. You can use a 3/8 low helix. Just be easier to use a 1/2 inch though, and less likely for it to break. And these are kind of starting feed rates for this tool. The pass depth, always be careful with this. Maybe just set it to 1/2 inch. You're going to want to ramp 18,000 RPMs. You could slow it down to 16. The feed rate, 300 to 350. Plunge rate is about 33 to 50% of your feed rate. We're going to have it selected as a cutout bit and a dado tool. Okay? And cut through is going to be about 5 thousandths. Now, the other tool we're going to need is your 90-degree sharp corner tool. Now, this is totally up to you how you want to run this. This 90-degree tool is already in your library, right? It's already attached to all your other Miterfold products, any of your hoods, your Huffman hoods and all that. Like, they're all in there. So be careful that when you cut this out, you want to use this 90-degree or 90.5 or 91. But make sure you're not using the diamond, please. Now, the way you might set that up, we're going to make a new tool set. I made a Miterfold solid surface tool set. All I have in here is my low helix up shear and my 90-degree sharp corner tool. Now there's ways of combining this in another tool set, but this is just going to be the easiest way to do it. Put it in whatever slot you need to. Just need cutout, dado for your low helix, and then your 90-degree sharp corner tool. We're not going to use this tool set for the buildup. It is only for solid surface. This way, we can kind of put a note in here. We can even name the tool set. We could say, do not use diamond. Something like that. Just so we print this off, send it out to the CNC, and the guys have this to cut with, right? And they know, okay, it can still be the same tool in Mozaik, but just make sure that we are using the Amana insert tool. Now, if you have a CNC, this is also very important. If you have a CNC like, I know the Holzer does not honor minimum tool speeds. We're going to go back into this 90-degree. Right now, I just have it set for 110 and 55. These are solid surface insert tooling speeds right here. Now, if you have the ability, you don't want to cut your regular miter folds with this kind of feed rate. You would do a min and a max. So maximum, if you're running the Frost Diamond, you'd be at 18,000. Run this at 250, 125. But you really don't want this for your solid surface, so you'll use the minimum. Minimum is controlled in the material library. And this is how it works. So minimum, you go back into Mozaik, close up all this stuff. Out of here. Close this up. Go to libraries, materials, we go to our solid surface. We have this percent speed right here. 0 is minimum, 100 is maximum. So just to be safe, if your CNC G code does honor minimums, put in 0 here. Now you can basically just make sure you have the right tool in the right slot. It's only going to cut solid surface out at the minimum. But if you don't, you're going to have to be very conscious of what tool you're using. It won't be the end of the world if you forget it. It'll just cost you about 500 bucks, so don't do that. All right, so I'm opening back up Optimizer, taking its sweet time. So we've got our tool set up. We got your tools in here. Now we need to make 2 tool groups. We need to make a build up cutout, 3/8 compression, cutting out on the inside of the line. I have a 3/8 compression in here, on center, 0.1875 offset, and then I have it cutting through. All right. So that build up is going to cut that out in 1 pass. If you want this to do 2 passes, then just make sure that your 3/4 inch bit, your cutout, has a pass depth of 3/4 in there or something, so it doesn't try to do that plywood cut in 1 pass. So you put maybe 0.75. Alright, cool. So next thing we can do, you can also, if you have a 0 pass depth, you can take this off, do a 0.5, and then put in another one here. This build-up cutout would actually be 0.936. But like I said, you can just cut it out on the table saw. You don't have to use the CNC for this. Okay. All right. So that's the build-up cutout. Now the really important one is the solid surface cutout. 1/2 inch up shear. This is fine to do in 1 pass. It's actually ideal. So we have it on center, offset. If you bring in this tool group and it has a different tool attached to it, it could be something like it will randomly bring in a 1/4 inch down shear, whatever. This is obviously wrong. So just left click twice on this tool, find your 1/2 inch up shear, change it. This is a 3/8 up shear. That's fine too. Let's just pretend this is the 3/8 up shear. You're just going to change this offset to 0.1875. Okay. Now that we have those tool groups, we're done in the optimizer. Now we're going to update this one product, save it back to the library, and then we'll have our base countertop. And then we can change, we can have our left, our right, our none, and our both. This is actually kind of the fun part, but you do have to be careful. I fly through it now because I've done it enough times, but just going to pull up the 3D viewer like usual. And then now I'm in the parts tab. So I'm going to go through and look for any part that's basically wide and long. So these guys, all the 3 and the 4-inch wide ones, you don't have to do anything to. It will be like this full split. Nope, not that one. Build up full, 24.5 by 71.5. Now before we do that, go back to parameters. See if parameters, but who cares? This product is going to make you a ton of money because it literally does everything for you. So you're just going to have to fight through the parameters. I organized them best I could. Now what I want to do before I start changing toolpaths, we have to activate the second sync cutout. So let's go down here. I actually get lost in here. So we're going to go to section 5, second cutout, and then we have cutout to shape. Basically we have a cutout or no cutout. So 0 is cutout. And I did figure out like a way better way to do this after I built it, so better luck next time. Still pretty sweet. So now we technically have activated a second hole for a countertop. All the faucet holes are just pockets that use a dado tool. So it's going to literally pocket out the entire thing with your up shear. It's going to be beautiful. It'll work great. All of these cutouts, these are all going to ramp. This isn't an actual hole here. It's not going to plunge. It'll ramp. So this 8-inch is an 8-inch wide cutout, 8-inch deep. And then I just set the radiuses. Just set the radiuses to 4 so that it made a circle. You could change it. You could see that it's all going to change for you. Change it to whatever you want. You could go 0, and now this is just a square. That's for a different video. So let's get trucking here. So we've got both countertop cutouts activated. Go into the parts tab. Let's do the no cut parts first. So down here we have no cut top return. I'm going to edit. Go into the operations. This is where it gets a little crazy, but we're just going to flip it over. Be careful. If you're doing this, you've probably been in here a million times. You know, if you click on this and the blue formulas disappear, you're kind of out of luck, or you want to hit the undo button, right? Control Z or undo up here. But we can just go in here. We have to assign 2 panel tool groups, one to this right here and one to this one. We're going to do this about 8 times. So if you want, you can just look for a pocket, excuse me, a toolpath that lights up. So one of these points lit up on this sync cutout. We'll go to select toolpath. We'll go to panel tool groups. All right, so open up your toolpaths and go down to solid surface cutout, 1/2 inch up shear. And we're going to select that one. Then I don't really want to filter through and try to find all these things. It's going to take forever, so I'm going to click on this point very carefully. Go to select, panel tool groups. Go down to the bottom and select this solid surface cutout. Okay, so now you can see the cutouts in here. Great. This is just a visual piece. It's not actually the real piece yet. I also want to turn on full build up because this is just kind of really cool. We'll go to build up option and I'll say full build up. Right now we can see we've got this plywood build up here. Well, it doesn't look very plywood, but it is. And I'm going to go into our parts and we'll find the build up. Start doing all this. Let's turn on a minimum here. Make this longer, like 120. So we have the auto chop for the build up. It's based on whatever our build up is. It's creating a seam there. Yeah, did that. So much work. Maybe worth it though. So let's go into the rest of these and we'll just find this build up full split. We'll see if it has any of these toolpaths. It does. This is build up, so we don't use our up shear. We use our build up cutout with the compression bit. Here and do that. That working. All right. Now you can see there's also an offset on this buildup. You can make that 0, 2, 5, 1/2 inch, whatever you want. And we're going to go to the rest of these parts and just make sure they're all set up good. So this one, this would be like a full top. Operations. Click on these points. This is another build-up piece. You want to use the 3/8 compression. There's only 2 parts that you have to do for the build-up. And then now the last ones we have to do are these 5. We have the none, left, right, both, and the all sides. So I'll start with the none, say edit. These are all the ones in the background, of course. Go to Edit Operations, flip it over, zoom in if you have to, click on a point, make sure you don't screw up the formulas. Go to Panel Tool Groups, and then click on this Up Shear Solid Surface Cutout. And make sure that it cuts on the inside of the line. Then you'll go through and just do the next 4. I mean, this video is already like 30 minutes long, so I might as well just do it. You can fast forward if you don't want to watch me do this. Well, we'll just do every single one of them. Go. I can do this in about 30 minutes if I'm setting this up for someone, but it seems like we end up just talking about all kinds of other stuff anyway, so it takes an hour. I mean, this would totally save you more than an hour though, to get it set up. What I have this down for price-wise, like $80 or something. A little bit. Especially when I started showing you all the features. This thing's crazy. Just gotta set it up right though. So we got 2 more to do. The bolt is like kind of cool. The all sides is really cool. This, we'll flip it over. We'll attach the last panel tool groups. Almost home free. That's really all the setup is. Just being careful about your feed rates and your tool associations. There is actually like a glue buildup feature in the buildup. There's a little dado there to prevent glue buildup. Which is kind of cool. Random fun fact while I'm trying to talk about things while I'm finishing this up. Alright, and then the all sides, the last of it. You can change the size of all these sinks too, by the way. I haven't figured that out yet. Go in here. And the reason we don't have any depth on any of these is because the panel tool group takes care of that. I want to make sure you have cut through selected for that. This one. Alright. Now, right now, I would save this back to the library because it is ready to go. Alright. Maybe you don't want this to come out as a default every time. Then go through all the parameters. There's going to be another video on what all the parameters do. Kinds of stuff in here. And then from there you're ready to send it to the CNC. So let's just do that together for the sake of doing it. We'll just make this like an hour-long video. Kidding. Okay. Worth it. Alright, let's just do the solid surface stuff. This is Enterprise. So we can name our runs. Pretty sweet. Oh, looks like we're going to end in about 30 minutes. That's not. Okay. So, we got our parts. We have a solid surface full and a solid surface split. That's the buildup. It's doing it in 2 pieces because there's a threshold for the buildup. It breaks it up on whatever threshold you have set. So if your material is 96.5, it's going to let it be about 96. We don't care about the buildup. Easy. And now we have our solid surface. So the splash came in here. Fine. Do actually want to rotate this. Then we're going to nest both of them. I do a big old top. Sheet. The top. 6.5. Oh, I might have had some scribe on it or something. Work. Okay, so we'll just make this sheet longer. I made the top too long, but all right. So here's our top, and then we want to flip it. These aren't flip ops, so you can do them all from one side. And the best thing you can do in here before you cut out, do yourself a favor. Go into the 3D. Go into the top view. Hit the dimension tool and do some dimensioning. It's going to help out a lot. Then you can just kind of, make sure everything's looking good. You can dimension in here, which if you didn't know, now you know. You can dimension whatever you need to. Okay. Cool. So now we're going to, from the single sheet, I'm going to go to generate G-code and calculate. That didn't work out very well, so we clearly have the wrong tool set associated. Bring that one in and see if that does better. Part spacing is less than cutout tool diameter. Sure. Yeah, 9/16 part spacing would be better, wouldn't it? We have low helix, literally pocketing out these faucet holes and then cutting on the inside of the line. In dimension in the 3D view so that you can make sure that this is all the setbacks are good and everything you need is there. Gonna cut it out. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna make a ton of money. So I hope that helps for the setup. If you can't figure it out, obviously just send me a message. And if you're not purchasing the product, you're just gaining knowledge, then I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a like or a subscribe or whatever you're supposed to do on YouTube. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.